This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Check.
Well, she sneaks around the world from India to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is
Nanne?
Brought to you by our good friends at Kemp's. Luigi is generally a Tuesday contributor, but some schedule issues got in the way there, so he's joining us right now. If you have hockey-related questions, Stanley Cup-related questions, hit the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. That number, as always, is 64686. That's 64686. Are you in Florida? I know you're not here because we have tornadic activity.
No, I'm in Boston.
Boston?
And it's beautiful here, 70 degrees.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Go to the north end today, the Italian district, and have some fabulous pasta.
Oh, that's outstanding. Do you have a favorite place there?
I got a few of them. Limoncello's area. There's you go Hanover, you can go to about at least 10 Mamma Mia's. There's so many good ones. It's amazing.
Well, tell me, in all of your travels, the best U.S. city for Italian food.
I think it's right here, Boston.
It is Boston. I'm not surprised based on what you said.
Right here, Hanover Street, yep. I think it's the best there is in the whole country.
And do you have a particular type of Italian food that you enjoy, style of food? Are you a cream sauce guy? Are you more tomato-based? What's the Lou Nanne, what's the wheelhouse when it comes to Italian food?
And it's funny you should say that, because last night I had carbonara, and my wife made a fantastic chicken penne carbonara.
Ooh, that sounds
Tonight
good.
I'm going to have bolognese probably. Yeah. That's my go-to is probably a red sauce, and most often I like bolognese.
Yeah.
But
You'll mix and match.
I like the vodka sauce. I like amatricana sauce. I at home. I don't know if you know. If you go to the grocery store, if your wife lets you go, my wife doesn't usually, but I go and get pasta sauces so I don't have to have her making it all the time, which she's very good at. And you can go and get like a Rio sauce, for instance, and all different kinds of sauces for Italian foods, and it's just amazing.
So what is it about that area of Boston? What do they? Is there a big Italian district? Is it just they got great depth, or what's the deal?
The north end is the Italian district, and it's really big.
Yeah,
you got 2-3 streets there. They're all Italian restaurants, and when I say there's 15, 20, 30, that's what they are.
Wow, that's impressive.
Door, and they're all good, and they got not only restaurants like that, they got a couple good fish places too, and they also have great pastry shops. Italian pastries and donuts, and which I love, and all the different pastries there. It's just amazing. In fact, if you go there like on a Sunday morning, I can't remember the name of the place. I was here last month, and I was meeting my grandson Vinny and Terry when he was playing with Boston, and there's a place there that all nationalities seem to come because it's a great place that you can get excellent coffee and terrific pastries, but they have the soccer games on it from Europe all day long, and they get all nationalities in there, and they just come spend 2, 3, 4 hours there in the mornings.
Impressive for sure. All right, let's get to some hockey. As you know, the Wild go back to Vegas at 2-2 after being unable to get it done the other day. Game 5 will be tomorrow night right here on the Fan. What's the moral of the story, Game 4? What were your takeaways from the Game 4 loss?
Well, there's a few of them. First of all, you have to be happy that they played well enough to win, which means they're still playing well. They're still playing good games. You got to be sad. It's the first game where they've ever lost the lead in the third period and lost the game.
How about that?
You know that they had chances to win in regulation and also in overtime. Didn't come through with it. You know that BM didn't play, for half that third period and into the overtime, which means he's going to be out next game, I'm sure.
Yep.
And not that that's bad, by the way. The kid came in and he had a couple of games right off the bat, his first games in the NHL, and acquitted himself pretty well. But you could see as the games went on, especially I thought he might have come out. I definitely felt after the third game he might not play in the fourth game, because now the physicality of the games that you're not used to when you're in college. You're playing 4 games here in about 6-7 days, and with that kind of intensity and physicality, is something unique for him. And when you're 18, 19, you're not as strong as you're going to be at 21, 22, 23, and he's taken a pounding, and he's not a big kid, so he made a couple of mistakes, and unfortunately for him, he had that double penalty when they tied the game. So that's nothing of those things should say that he's not going to have a fantastic career, because I think he's going to be an excellent hockey player. But it's this time of the year now. You have to go with what you think is going to get you there, and with the physicality game is going to ramp up even more in the next 3 games, or whether it's 2 or 3. I think that I expect he probably won't be back in the lineup unless there's an injury. Yeah,
it looks like Merrill will make his series debut.
Did they announce it?
Well, not announced. That's what Russo's reporting, he believes.
That's probably true.
That's probably the way it's going to be.
That's not a surprise at all.
You're okay with that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In fact, I hope Johansson gets back and play. I think they missed him. The last month he's played his best hockey. He's been really a factor for the Wild in a number of games, and they miss his ability to bring that puck up ice as quick as he does, and he can alleviate pressure because he is good at getting to pucks and getting them out of the zone, and I'd like to see him back. I hope he gets back to play.
612 guy, can we get Louis' thoughts on the Wild player being tackled in front of the net on Vegas's game time goal? A lot of discussion on this on sermons yesterday. What did you see? Should that be illegal, or what's the call that you're supposed to make? Is that interference?
Earl just brings them down. I have to tell you, I'm the wrong guy to ask that, because I was incensed with some of the refereeing that went on there. Starting with when Barbashev takes Kaprizov in the boards from behind and hits his head in the glass, and nothing gets called. We've already seen Hartman get cross-checked in the face, and nothing gets called, and then you get Middleton taken down like that by Earl in front of the net. I'm sure they missed some of the Wild ones, but I don't think they missed as many on the Wild as they missed Vegas, because they're coming in as the least penalized team. I think they get away with more than the Wild are getting away with, and a couple of those, just you just don't have an answer for them. You just don't know why you're not calling a meaningful penalty like that, because we all know the games are intense, but they're going to just keep getting away with more and more. So where do you draw the line? The teams don't know what you're going to call next if you're not consistent in your calls that you've been making or let go.
Let's get a quick pause in. We got a lot more to get to with Luigi, including one really compelling conversation I had with Russo yesterday about one particular aspect of the way the Wild is using its personnel. So I want to get to that. Grant, in your hand time first?
It is. Right? The Fan and BigDeck.com. Want to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with our national cash contest. The 4 o'clock keyword is money. Go to KFAN.com and enter the...
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Keyword money. Carboni's Pizza is here to fuel you all throughout the playoffs. You can visit one of their 30-plus locations to enjoy delicious pizza. Get ready for the Minnesota playoff runs. Find your nearest Carboni's today at carbonispizza.com.
A lot of outstanding text coming in as usual for Lou Nanne with us for another segment. Double T, Trent Tucker, bottom of the hour. Johnny Athletic will join at 5:30 on this Monday edition of Bumper to Bumper. We got some tornado watches and warnings, so we're not exactly your weather leader, but pay attention to that. We'll keep you posted if anything significant indeed does take place. As we say hi once again to Louie for part 2 of our discussion. This comes from 507. Comes from Todd. Dan, ask the great one, what are his thoughts on NHL switching refs out every 2 games during the playoffs, good or bad?
Oh, I like that a lot. I like that because I don't want to see referees get in a situation, maybe put there by the players, where they might be upset or taking a verbal beating about something, like anything that could affect their calls in the previous game. I think the best thing to do is get them in the game and get them out, and that's good for the referees. It's good for the teams. You don't want to. The thing that you miss is maybe that the referee, you know how he's going to call, the consistency of it, but not necessarily so, because he could change his mind. He could referee a different game the second game. But the most important thing is it allows you to be free from any thing you might be upset with the referee or him with anybody in the team or something like that. Get the game called, get him out.
Another text that is interesting. I think we've talked about this before. Ask Louie how he feels about the way today's players block shots, turning their bodies away from the shooter instead of facing them, where all their protection is shins, chest, etc.
Can't stand it. He's so right about that. They don't know. It's a simple thing to learn, to block the shot properly. Facing the shooter, squaring up, getting down, especially if you're within 15 feet of the net, then you can go down both legs, stack them up and block it, because if the puck gets through there, the goalie's not going to have time to react. It's probably going to be in. So you got to be in a position where you're lined right across so it can get through, essentially. But if you're more than 15 out, especially you're 25, 30, like forward blocking a shot at the point, you should be squaring up down on one leg, stick out beside you, so that if he goes to fake a shot and go around you, your stick's still in position to poke check the puck. But if you block the shot, you're in a position to get many times, and I'm talking about 7 out of 10 times, if you block a shot like that square on, that puck's going to go back out past them.
Yep.
You got a chance for a breakaway. I can't believe that feature in the game hasn't been improved by the way these guys block shots now. And that's why they get hurt, too.
Yeah, that's it.
You got your equipment on properly in front of you, and you're taking side looks and back looks, and you're getting hit in areas where you don't have equipment.
Well, so why you've talked about this before? It's a pet peeve of yours going way back.
Yeah.
Why? What's the answer to why this isn't properly coached or instructed? I guess I don't understand what the other the teams who are, you'd think it'd be part of their deal to prepare their players for this, what they don't get that you do.
I don't think, and starting from minor hockey, I don't think coaches now know the value and really the actual proper way to block shots. They don't teach it. And the guys in pros right now, they don't know, because they're a younger breed that played like they're playing right now. I don't know if any of those coaches really block shots properly. If they've played, they've been more recent coaches in the last 20 years. And I've been watching this for 20 years when guys don't block shots properly. So I'm saying, I don't know if they really know how to do it themselves. It's so easy. It drives me nuts. I should go get it. I did a video of it years ago when Esposito, the two Esposito and JP, and I did a hockey film, and that's one of the things I did was blocking shots. I should send it to him because it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's
so
such
important.
an easy thing to do and be good at.
Yeah, and it's such an important issue too. All right, so we got Russo and I on Sunday got back into the subject of sort of the Rossi conundrum, what you do with him, and he continues to believe that he's too buried on the fourth line, that when you factor in, even if you think he's in a relative funk, the idea that a guy who was as productive as he was over the course of the season, that you're not allowing him to sort of play his way out of there, even in the playoffs where, of course, you don't have a lot of time, it just does not make sense to him. And then to a certain extent, it becomes self-fulfilling if you have him playing with fourth-line people that maybe there's less of a chance he's going to get out of it. So you and I have talked a lot about Rossi over the years. What's your view on that? Do you agree with Russo that he's too buried?
No, and I'm going to say, and I can probably tell where Russo's going with that. First of all, you know that you got Eck, so he's not going there.
Right.
Secondly, you got Hartman. The way he's playing, he's been sensational in the playoffs. He's not going there. So now you go to third line, it's Gaudreau. So obviously he's saying he should go in Gaudreau's place, and Gaudreau go back in the fourth line. Gaudreau went in the fourth line. Yeah, he could do that easily because he's a much better checker and more physical than Rossi, and so that would be good there. But the fact is, Rossi's benefited from the forechecking, the physical forechecking on the wings. And he's got a couple goals. So when you say buried, he has been in position to score.
Yeah.
The problem is that Rossi, if you look at the series, Rossi's got to be more intense on his checking. You can't brush check. You got to body check. You have to take the man. Now, when I say take the man, I'm not saying you got to, drive him through the boards, but yeah, you got to at least put him into the boards. You can't just brush by him. And I think what's getting him on the fourth line is if he's got more ice time, his checking part of the game is not strong enough. He's got to get stronger, more physical. This is all hands on deck. You got to make sure everybody's pulling the same cord and pulling it the same way and with the same strength. And Gaudreau gives you that. He goes in there and he mucks in the corners and he along the boards fights for pucks. And Rossi's got to pick that part of his game up. Yes, his offense is very good, and he's more capable probably than Gaudreau of scoring a lot of goals because he's had a better history of scoring than Gaudreau all the way through juniors and there's a little time in NHL. But this is not that type of game right now. This type of game is you always have to be using your head thinking. I watched a game 2 games ago in Washington. You're not going to believe this, but Washington and Canadians are tied 3-3. The goaltender for Washington breaks his stick. They've been on the ice. They're hemmed in by the Canadians for 2 minutes, maybe a little bit more. A defenseman, one of the guys gives the goaltender a stick. It was a forward, gave the goaltender a stick, so he had at least a hockey stick to use. The defenseman gets the puck. He actually skates up about 10 feet looking for a play to make and tries a pass. The pass gets intercepted. They come down. Montreal comes in his own, it scores a goal, and by the way, hurts the goaltender in that play, and the goalie's out for the rest of the game. Now, how somebody doesn't think that you ice the puck? So, yeah, you're going to get a face-off in your zone. You can't trade guys. But at least the goaltender would got a goal stick.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of, and it's the same thing going with Rossi and the checking. You can't go to a man and brush check a guy where he's going to be able to play off you and keep the puck in the zone. It's little things that mean so much in a playoff game because every little margin of error is taken advantage of.
This is a text from 952 guy. Will you ask Louis where Zuccarello has been? I feel like he hasn't been around the puck much last few games outside the power play. I think if he steps up, the second line can be dangerous with Hartman playing so well.
Well, overall, he's played pretty well. You know, he might have not had much puck possession the last game, right? But he still makes plays. I think that he missed Johansson there. To me, it was a big loss, Johansson, out of the game. I hope he's back on Tuesday night because Stroh's in there, but Zuccarello and Johansson were really playing well the first couple of games, and I think if Johansson comes back in, you're going to see Zuccarello playing well too. Zuccarello's got, he thinks the game so well, but he's got to have people that can think like him, can appreciate what he might do and be ready for things, because his head is a step ahead of most of the guys.
So I don't know if we've talked about this before. You know, the NBA has what they call the 2-minute report, where they evaluate, they say honestly, the officiating in the last 2 minutes. And in fact, the Knicks Pistons game, even after the game, they had basically there's a pool reporter who can go to a ref and ask for a comment on a specific play, the last play of the game, whether the Pistons player was fouled. And they admitted that, well, when we watched it live action, we thought it was a legitimate defense of the player, but afterwards looking at it, we blew the call. There should have been a foul called there. The 2-minute report expands that out. So if you look back to your days as general manager and or I guess player, would you have liked to have known officially that, yeah, we thought they blew the call and now the league is acknowledging that they did? Or would you rather not know?
I'd like to know that they saw it, because if I don't know, I'm thinking that they still think they're right, and if they would have seen it, they'd know they were wrong and have some feeling for it. I really think that I'd like to know that they know, and you have to know that the supervisor's gone down and talked to them, so right. they are aware of it, and they probably do know, or if there's a discrepancy, that's why I'd like to have their feelings made, so I can acknowledge that, yeah, I'm happy that they saw that they made a mistake, or no, I don't agree with them, I still don't agree with them, So if that's the way he's going to call, that's what I'm going to be looking for in future calls.
So the NHL does not have a similar mechanism, do they?
No.
That's what I thought.
And they won't have. I'm sure Gary Bettman won't allow it.
Why not?
Which, you might say, well, he came from basketball, but they hadn't been doing that in basketball when he left and came to the NHL.
That's true. But, I mean, he likes to be a progressive guy, I thought. I'm not saying he should do it because the NBA does it, but it sounds like you would, as an old-time hockey guy, would endorse it. I guess I'm surprised there hasn't been more. Because I don't even think there's a mechanism where, as a pool reporter, Russo can go and knock on the door of the referee's room and can say, we're looking for a clarification on a rule, a ruling that you had or a decision that you guys made. That does not, and it certainly exists in football, pro football, but it does not in the NHL. Why? I mean, it should, shouldn't it?
I think it should.
Yeah.
But I don't think Gary wants the officials to get involved in any kind of dialogue about how the game was called. I don't know why. I can't say that I agree with it, but that's something that I don't think is going to change.
One last item via the text line: the intentional offsides overtime call that cost the Wild again with the defensive zone, based off where they scored the winning goal on Saturday afternoon. What did you make of that call?
Well, I still get confused by when they're calling intentional and when they're not. I don't understand why they call some, why they don't. So I sit there sometimes and say, oh, now you're going to bring it back. Now you're not going to bring it back. I don't know. It's I don't know if it's a timing thing or for some of those guys or why they're not. I don't think there's a real great consistency in that call at all.
On that note, we'll let you go. Enjoy Game 5. It's pretty pivotal in a 2-2 series. I mean, this is the one you want to get,
good
right?
To be there.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. I hope they're just thinking, if we started the series and knew we were 2-2, I think we'd take that. Yeah. So, even though I think that, remember what I said? I'd rather lose 5-1 than 3-2. so they got to be thinking about that overtime game, and I hope that doesn't impede them in any way. They are capable of winning. As I said, I was happy they got Vegas, and I think that they still are capable of winning.
Enjoy the Italian tonight in Boston. We'll chat next week. Thank you, Louis.
Will do.
Appreciate
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Lou Nanne, brought to you by our good friends and his good friends at Kemp's, fine sponsor of the Luigi Nanne segment. Back to hoop action. Double T, Trent Tucker, ahead of his time, basically welcoming, before the series began, the Wolves matchup with the Lakers. Wanted, of all the matchups, said that's the team I'd like to see the Wolves play in round one. What did he know before everybody else figured out that actually the Wolves can indeed play with the Lakers and are now in position to take them out? We'll catch up with...
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Double T next.
He and Julius had it going all night long. They were really good. We were trying to get a third, fourth guy into the game, and Nas shows up in the fourth quarter again. So I just told him feel free to show up for the first 3 anytime you like. The last 2 games, but he was there when we needed him, offensively and defensively, just timely baskets for sure.
Finchie, after the Wolves' Game 4 victory at Target Center yesterday, talking about Ant early, and then Julius Randle and he snuck in a good cheap shot on Naz Reid, who finished strong, but he said, hey, show up in the first 3 quarters anytime you feel like you might. Double T, Trent Tucker, kind enough to join us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. I want to take you back to before the playoffs began, because I kept getting these reports from people saying that on In the Zone and elsewhere, you were welcoming the possibility of the Wolves being matched up in round number 1 against the Lakers. Why is that, or why was that?
Well, Dan, thanks for having me, but I realized and I saw that strategically, I thought the Wolves could attack the Lakers in certain areas where they could hurt them. And when I looked at, Luka Doncic is not a good defender. And we all know today the game is a heavy pick and roll game. And the more time you can put him in a pick and roll type situation, he's going to have to guard a quality offensive player. And that's where you can begin to wear him down. And I thought the matchup between LeBron James and Julius Randle would be very interesting, because Julius Randle is young enough, talented enough to force LeBron to have to play defense, and also he's strong enough to take him down low. And I just felt like that defensively he could probably guard LeBron James by himself, where the team didn't need much help. You wouldn't have to come with the double team as much and now get into rotations. And that wouldn't leave Austin Reeves, standing and shooting 3-point jump shots by himself. If you can force Reeves to where he has to try to beat you off the dribble to make his offense work, I feel like that would fall right into the hands of the Wolves.
Trent, through the first 4 games of the series, 3 of them won by the Wolves. Minnesota has outscored the Lakers in the fourth quarter 105-69. Why?
The Wolves have multiple players that can beat you in different ways, and I think as the season moved on and Julius Randle came back, the Wolves found a way to balance off their offense. They like to take the 3-point shot, and when the 3-point shot is going, they become even tougher to beat. But they're not taking that first pass, quick 3-point shot anymore. They allow the offense to provide those good looks from downtown. And they have found a way to balance off their offense in the fourth quarter. They get into the free throw line now, just helping them put some points on the board. And when you have guys who can attack the rim time and time again, when the team has no one that can resist them at the rim, you're going to find some success there.
Is this series over?
I wouldn't say it's over. It's because the Lakers are still dangerous enough to beat the Wolves. And they've taken it back to Game 5. And And LeBron James is telling this team, okay, I got maybe 2.5 days now to rest. We have to try to win one game at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And if they win Game 5, all the pressure now, swings back to the Wolves. So I'm hoping that Chris Finch will remind this player that this thing is not over. We still have a long way to go. It's because we're playing against a very good team with two great players.
The mentality, I assume you say, for the Wolves has to be concede nothing in Game 5 for that reason, that if we've got them on the defensive and we've figured some stuff out and Edwards is playing at the high level he is playing at and some of the supporting cast is as well, go after it right now. The Michael Jordan mentality is, you could even say the Mamba mentality to a degree, is go get the next game. There's nothing that says you can't go out and try to get the next game in L.A., and thereby you don't have to worry about the pressure shifting back to the Wolves if they come back here for 6.
I couldn't agree more with you, and it's because now you want to have a chance to close them out. They feel the pressure, and some of those role players who didn't get a chance to play much in game number 4, you don't know how they're going to respond to the pressure of game number 5 when it's a closeout situation for them. If the Wolves approach this game the right way and get off to a good start and put the Lakers behind the 8 ball early, it might give them a chance to close this thing out in 5. But if they don't come with the right mindset, and we all know the longer a playoff series goes on, bad things can begin to happen for you. Let's go back to 2004 when we go to Game 6. Somebody named Kareem Rush, we hadn't heard of, obviously he makes 6 3-point shots, and the Wolves are out of the Western Conference Finals. So you don't want to give a team with LeBron James and Luka Doncic many more opportunities to have a chance to beat you.
Did J.J. Redick commit coaching malpractice not using his bench at all in the second half on Sunday?
Well, I'm gonna use the Pat Roddy theme, okay? I play 7. I believe in 6. I only trust 5. And I think J.J. Redick got to a point yesterday where it was desperation time for him. He only trusted 5 guys. But if you look at how that game was played throughout the second half, the Lakers came out and got off to like a 14-0 start.
Yes, in the third quarter.
Start the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had a double-digit lead at some point in time again in the fourth quarter. So I understand why J.J. Redick did what he did, and now there's a lot of people are going to criticize him for that. But he felt like that this is a game that we need to win. It's a game that we have to win. And the only way we can do this, I have to play these 5 guys for the entire second half.
LeBron, it did look to me, though, like was resting on he had some great defensive plays. Don't get me wrong. Even in the fourth quarter, he was huge on that end. But he showed, Double T, to me, 0 interest in doing anything offensively, shooting or occasionally, because he can still put his head down, as you know, and get to the basket. And that, to me, that's pretty troubling that you have to, he's still, what he is, still at this point, you have to have more from him, no matter who else is going well around him, don't you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, he went for the knockout shot, that long 3 that he
yes,
missed,
he did.
When the Lakers were up by 2.
Yeah.
He was going for the knockout blow. But you think about in the last, 30 or 20 or 30 seconds in the game, the Lakers had a 2-point lead.
They did, yeah.
Because the Wolves go up by, 4, and then they fall asleep on defense, and Austin Reeves gets a wide-open 3-point shot to cut it to 1. And then Finney-Smith, after a missed shot or a turnover, all of a sudden knocks down the 3-point shot, and you're saying, somehow, some way as well, the Wolves have played in the last 2 or 3 minutes. It seems like they are finding a way to give the game away. But you need more from LeBron James coming down the stretch. But he's older, and he was resting on the offensive end. He was hoping that the guy they picked up in the trade from Dallas could carry them home. But Anthony Edwards had another answer for them.
We're going to get to Anthony in a minute. How surprised were you that the appeal the Wolves made on the play where Ant loses the ball out of bounds and ultimately it's ruled a foul on LeBron? How stunned were you that the Wolves won that appeal?
Well, you're always stunned, when something goes against a great team and a great player in that nature. But that's why, I guess that going to the video now is a major plus in a situation like that, especially for any team. And they got the call right.
Yeah, they did.
Got the call right. It was the right call to be made. at that time. And for the Wolves, thank goodness for the video and the tape.
Yeah, and it was that overhead view, which none of us had seen on the broadcast. That, to me, changed it because I don't think that call was going to be reversed without that angle. Yeah,
I mean, they made sure that, they exhausted all possibilities before, they made their decision. And for the Wolves fans, they got that call right.
Is Anthony Edwards figuring it out?
I believe he is. I think he's starting to figure things out. Even though he doesn't shoot well, it doesn't mean he's not playing well. And he's finding his teammates at the right time to get some good looks at the basket. And he's trusting his teammates because he's seen them perform in those situations before. Just like Michael Jordan, when you play with a great player, you have to earn their trust. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant or Magic Johnson or Larry Bird. And once you go through a playoff-type situation where they have seen you make some timely shots, they will begin to trust you time and time again.
So, on Edwards, it seems really ridiculous to criticize any part of his game, given how well overall he has performed, especially down the stretch of the last couple of games, not just scoring, but making the right decisions, getting the ball to teammates, figuring it out, as we say. But he does have, it's interesting, even during the regular season, his numbers at the basket, his finishing percentage isn't as great as we would all assume, given his athleticism and so forth. I mean, that's the thing I always think about with Michael. Michael was I have to tell you this, an absurd finisher, right? Always in balance at the basket. What do you see? Is there anything Anthony can do to fix? I mean, because given how effective he is getting to the basket, you'd like to think he should be able to score more often than he does. What do you see? Anything in particular?
Well, I think the difference is the hand side. And Michael had huge hands like Dr. J. And so when they get around the basket, they can get there, but they can use that one hand because they can palm the ball and move it, and sometimes get it up on the glass a little bit quicker than some guys who may not have this hand side. And also, I think sometimes he's looking and thinking there's a shot blocker coming from the weak side. But in terms of playing against the Lakers and some of these other teams in the Western Conference, they don't have guys that can protect the rim. And that's why I thought the Wolves were so successful a year ago against Phoenix and Denver. And that's why I felt like they had a chance against the LA Lakers because there is no rim protector. Luka's not good, like I mentioned, on the defensive end. So the more times you can drive and attack the basket, even if you don't score, you're going to get yourself to the free throw line early and often.
I'm so glad you brought up. I didn't want to prejudice the case because we've talked on this show hand size and gotten mocked for it. But I really do think, I don't think it's all of it, but I do think it's part of it. I really do think there is a difference. We talk about this with quarterbacks all the time in terms of fumbling, whatever. But I honestly believe that might well be part of the story.
Well, because if you Dr. J had those huge hands where they could hold the ball in midair and move it around. And you can dunk the basketball now with one hand, where most guys, if they don't have the hand size, they got to put two hands on the ball. And that might give that shot blocker, if there's a shot blocker there, that split second more to get into a position to make a play on the ball. But Anthony Edwards is, when he's attacking the basket, I mean, he has that ability to finish, like a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or a Dr. J, is because he has great athleticism. But when he's going downhill, as they say now, he opens up the game for his outside shooters. And I just felt like with this matchup, time and time again, especially when the game was on the line, the Wolves have the personnel to hurt the Lakers on the inside and get to the free throw line and get some easy points from that standpoint.
How much do you factor in, or what weight do you put on the question of a player who seems to utterly relish being in the position that Edwards is in? He seems to want all of it. He seems to want all of the competition. He seems to want to have to face, off against and face down the best players. And by the way, last year against Dallas, he did not get it done. We all know that, but this is another year. Mm-hmm. How much weight do you put on the mentality that I seem to think that he has? I'm curious to get your view on that particular issue.
Well, he has a great deal of confidence. And when you have that kind of talent, it's easy to have that type of confidence. But it's the off-season preparation, it's the work that he put in to get himself prepared. for the upcoming season. Allows him to trust the things that he has done in the offseason that will work for him during the regular season and throughout the playoffs. And it's all about the preparation and what's the purpose here. When you go into an offseason, you got to think about, okay, we were able to accomplish this, but we fell short. So what's my purpose going into the offseason? I need to get better at this. I need to get in better shape. I need to trust my teammates more. I need to work on my left hand a little bit more, going for one bounce, pull-up jump shots. So it's all about the process during the offseason that gives you the ultimate confidence once you get back to the regular season and playoff time.
Have you, Double T, seen enough from this team now to think they're a legitimate threat to represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals? Or do you look at still some other teams saying, no, they still got to get through so-and-so, and that's going to be a really difficult task? How do you view their chances to make this another run like a year ago?
I think they're one of the few teams that can make a run. When I look at the Wolves and I began to watch them very closely as they got toward the end of the season, they have the personnel that can beat you in different ways. Yeah. And I don't see a lot of teams being able to do that. And that's why I felt like they had a good chance to beat the Lakers. Nas Reed, they can knock down three-point shots, but also he can drive the ball to the basket. Julius Randle is playing with a great deal of confidence. It seems like once he's come back from the injury, he's relaxed. He's found his place inside the offense. We all know what Anthony Edwards can do. And it's a series that Mike Conley Jr. can give you some quality minutes in as well. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dante DiVincenzo, those guys, they can hurt you in different ways. So the Wolves, I believe, can throw 4 or 5 or 6 guys out there that can give you a balance to your offense that some of the other teams just can't match up with.
And play different styles, right?
And play different styles. Yeah, and that's the beauty of this time of the year. If the outside game is not working, well, you can drive the ball to the basket because you have the personnel to do that. We have guys that can beat you off the grip. We have guys now that can catch and go. So it seems like that Conley has done a very good job of putting, the right pieces to this puzzle to allow this team to have a chance to find success at this time of the year.
I'm curious to get your view on one other thing we had talked about earlier in the show that I think is encouraging. The last 2 games, the last 4 minutes, both times, Rudy sat and he pulled him out. And I think in each case, Finch put Nas Reed in. And Nas was huge in both cases. But to me, it's the larger issue of, I sense with Finchy this year, the way he's handled his roster, there's less concern about that pecking order. Well, certain guys just, you got to play your starters down the stretch. I feel like he's been liberated by the way he's gone about this year, which is, I got to do what I got to do. I got to play the players that give us the best chance. I can't worry about egos. What do you make of that?
Well, and that's what good coaching is all about. I mean, you have to evaluate how the game is going along, and then hoping that you have the personnel to make those changes. And when you do, you have to put the right piece in at the right time. And Rudy Gobert understands that the most important thing right now is all about winning. I may not be a factor offensively like I've been throughout the season, but here and there, I can get a block shot. I can get a rebound. I can keep a ball alive to give us one more possession. It's not all about what happens in terms of production or in the box score. It's all the little things that players are willing and able to do in critical moments that can make a difference. And so far, I believe that Chris Finch is doing a very good job of coaching this team, especially in close ball games.
From your standpoint now, on the basis of what you've seen first round, who is, leaving the Wolves out for the moment, who is the most dangerous team in the Western Conference?
The team that still scares me, the Golden State Warriors.
Interesting.
And, Steph Curry is a guy that is still lethal from the outside. If Jimmy Butler is healthy, he's one of the better two-way players in the game. And we all know what Draymond Green brings to the table. It's a team that they're going to play hard. They're well coached by Steve Kerr. They've been there before. They're good defensively. It's one of the few teams that the Wolves have not been able to figure out. And if there's one team right now that could give me a little scare, if we were able to get to the second round and face them, it could be the Golden State Warriors.
We need to check something else factually. We had Craig Kilborn on late last week. He claimed that in some long ago summer league, I want to say at Williams Arena, I don't know where, that he tried to check you and that you were averaging like 44 and he held you like 38, I think he said. Can you confirm or deny?
I remember that day.
Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Did he present much of a defensive challenge for your shooting prowess?
He made me work very hard to get that 38.
That's a very kind answer. I'm sure you could have said something much worse. I want to leave you with this. I don't know if you saw it, but I figured you'd get a kick out of it. I'm sure you heard the sad news that Dick Barnett, a member of 2 New York Knicks world champion teams, my hometown, Gary, Indiana, is where he hailed from. He has passed away, and there's a fascinating nugget in the obituary on him in the New York Times, and they're talking about the Knicks coach at the time, Red Holzman. And here's the story as apparently Dick Barnett explained it many years ago. The night before Barnett and Holzman were honored, Barnett recalled a long ago road trip. Quote, "Some of the players felt it would improve our eyesight if we went to the burlesque show at the hotel, even though we might miss curfew. When we mentioned it to Red, he told us not to go because we might see something there that we shouldn't see. But we went to the show anyway, and we did see something there that we shouldn't have seen. We saw Red." How good a story is that? Isn't that great? Just perfect.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
That's such a great story, man. He was had one of the most unique jump shots where he kind of like jerked the bottom of his legs up into the air. I'm sure you remember the shot. It's hard to explain to people who haven't seen it. They should look it up on video. A really unique jump shot.
I would say it's not a great way to teach kids how to shoot jump shots.
That's probably the kindest way to put it, as only you can do. Great to catch up, my friend. We'll stay in touch as this thing plays out. Thanks as always, Double T.
All right, thanks, Dan, for having me.
Appreciate you. Trent Tucker with outstanding basketball analysis, as always. Don't forget, we've got Johnny Athletic. He's going to join about 5:30. The top 5 at 5 coming up soon.
What time is Jaden McDaniel's apology to Luka? And my favorite 2-minute stretch from inside the NBA last night.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.